Okay, so right out of the gate, I do need to talk about that recap. Now, keep in mind, I've had a very long day and I'm a little tired, so maybe I need to watch it again when I've gotten some sleep. But the recap this week felt way longer than it needed to be, and after seeing how the episode ends, I kind of understand why they felt the need to stretch it out to the length they did. But yeah, this recap was definitely one of the more tediously long ones. And I know people mostly just skip the recap anyway, so what I'm saying doesn't matter all that much for those very select few who do sit through the recaps. But like, trust me, this is one you're gonna want to skip over. Like, the only reason I can think to watch it is to see Luffy is to see Luffy's like epically punch Kaido again. But again, you can pretty much watch the previous episode to see that. So yeah, the recap was not was def weirdly the recap was definitely one of the weaker parts of this episode. Having said that, barring a couple weird CGI frames and still shots, this was for the most part another great episode in the books. And honestly, one thing I loved that this episode did right from the jump and carrying over from last week is showing that despite it looking like Luffy is landing some really solid hits, that's really only the surface level of what we're seeing, when in reality Luffy's punches are doing a little more than bouncing off Kaido's body, further reinforcing the idea to just how invincible Kaido really is. But even more so, I like the fact that despite looking like an even bigger target in his dragon form, he's actually shown to be even more invincible in that form, and just how much he has overcome the flaw of being a bigger target does like it doesn't necessarily mean he's pretty much easier to take down, and he's turned just that idea in itself into a strength of having a just purely indestructible body. Like this is putting what this episode did for Kaido is basically put everything we've heard about Kaido to the test and ultimately prove everything we've heard correct, and that it took basically everything Luffy had to inflict even just the small amount of damage he could. Now, getting back to my first point, as I said, for the most part, this was pretty much a pretty great episode. But if I had to point out one flaw that caught my eye instantly, it's that unlike the previous episode where I said that the studio had managed to perfectly blend the from 2D and 3D together. This episode was one where I think they kind of failed a little bit more in that regard. Like, I don't want to say it was terrible, but when it came to a lot of the shots that were pretty much using CGI, it was definitely a lot less polished this week's episode than it was last week's episode. And yeah, the CGI just stuck out a lot more and wasn't blended as well as it was last week. Especially like when it focused on Kaido, like all the CGI shots of Kaido's dragon form, that was probably the most distracting bit of this episode. And yeah, if nothing else, I will say I gotta give Big Mom credit for being an opportunist, like, and just showing that she's not there to play fair. Like, Big Mom is out for blood, she's out for revenge, and like, pure and simple. She isn't there to play pirate games. She's there to like kill Luffy. Like, she wants his blood, and I gotta kind of just appreciate her for that. She knows her priorities and what she wants. But with that said, one thing I never really appreciated from the manga about this particular episode that I do here is the decision to take Luffy out of the fight for pretty much the rest of the episode, like showing just how much it's one of those moments, it's one of those things where I've always kind of like been a little bit on the fence as to why he would always take Luffy out of the fight, but just I think in perspective is everything, and I think it is episodes like this that show just how much confidence Oda has in all of his characters. Every single character he utilizes narratively. So it shows that even though so and it shows that all these characters, that they not only share the spotlight with Luffy, but they're strong enough and they're developed enough in order to actually take his place when it's narratively the right time for Luffy to take a time out from the action, and that everyone else there is just as strong and developed enough in order to fill that space without him. Of course, we also, of course, with that said, Kaido still proved to be the stronger opponent, despite showing how powerful they are, just like Luffy. It also still reinforced just how much stronger by comparison Kaido still is. And despite all the great focus we got on Zoro, Kaido's Dragon Twister definitely makes Zoro's version look like little more than a gust of wind. But I also love how Zoro was able to turn Kaido's own attack back against him. Like, it's the little moments in this fight that I think I appreciate the most, like that. And so now I could be wrong on this, but I think the anime is giving Zoro a couple more moments to really show what he's capable of in how he utilizes Enma, at least compared to the manga. Like with the manga, I know Oda gave him like a lot of moments to shine, but it feels like the anime is giving him even more moments to shine than the manga did, and just to really show what he's capable of and just overall giving Zoro more to do in the fight against Kaido before he switches to fighting King. And yeah, the art direction on the sword wound Zoro gave Kaido is pretty gruesome. Like the art direction team went all out in showing how deep and bloody the wound Zoro gave Kaido was, and showing that he's just like with Odin, like Zoro has left his mark on Kaido. And and of course we weren't seeing things in the final moments of the episode. We got a little bit of a tease seeing Kaido's hybrid form in the final moments of the episode, which the game is pretty much going to change from here. Like everything we think we know about Kaido, he just upped the ante even more. With that said, the episode also gave us a little bit of focus on Cypherpole Aegis Zero's perspective on the conflict, and right out of the gate you can see their biggest shortcoming is how much they're underestimating the Straw Hats and those who aren't labeled the worst generation. Like the Cypherpole Aegis Zero is so methodical that they don't see anyone who isn't labeled the worst generation as even a threat, and that the worst generation are really the only ones capable of defeating Kaido's officers, which in itself is setting the stage for all the other fights happening across Onigashima, which I said it once before and I'll say it again. Hopefully the anime does do a little bit more to extend some of these fights, because while I'm not going to say they went down easy, some of these fights in the manga did feel a little too quick in how they were concluded. Like some made sense in how they were paced, but others gave that feeling like that a lot of these fights ended before they were even had a chance to get started. So hopefully the anime can just add a little something extra that makes the actual fight feel less underwhelming, because again, that felt like the biggest flaw Oda struggled with, is he did good at making the fights narratively work, just not structurally. Like it felt more could have been done with those fights on just a structural level and in showing their power. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. From my Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video. And guys, Dark Knight Vimney, signing off. Later, everyone.